Hello once again, everybody, and welcome back to SFF180. It is Monday, April 28th, 2014. You know what that means. Time for another mailbag. So here it is. Rather a modest tweak this week. Only half a dozen envelopes, so we'll knock these out pretty quickly. But otherwise, I hope you guys had a terrific weekend. Mine was very lovely, thank you. Had a birthday yesterday, and that was very nice. I had dinner and good times with some friends, so it was all very nice. So now it's time for the books. So let's see what we have this time. I have no idea what's in these packages, as always. We'll find out together, and then you guys in the comments let me know which of these look most exciting and intriguing to you. All right, let's do it. Okay, and this first package comes from St. Martin's Press. Okay, well, here's a book that looks like it doesn't mess about in terms of what it delivers. A zombie. As you can see, it's not just a zombie, it's a zombie. The author is Jeremy Robinson. I've gotten several other books of his. He tends to write, mainstream action thrillers that have kind of a sci-fi-ish bent, perhaps in the Michael Crichton vein, not explicitly marketed as SF. But let's see what this one's all about, shall we? Zombie is the classic story of the oppressor and the oppressed, they say. It takes a frightening turn when a contagion starts to spread, posing a threat to the world's stability. Freeman is a genius with an uncommon mixture of memory, intelligence, and creativity. He lives in a worldwide utopia, but it was not always so. There was a time known as the Grind, when Freeman's people lived as slaves to a superior race known simply as Master. They were property until a civil rights movement emerged. Change seemed near, but the Masters refused to bend. Those damn Masters. Instead, they declared war and lost. Well, they won't do that again. Now the freed world is threatened by a virus spreading through bites, sweeping through the population. Those infected change. They are propelled to violence, driven to disperse the virus, uniquely suited to respond to this new threat. Freeman searches for a cure, but instead finds the source, the Masters, intent on reclaiming the world. Okay, so they've... all right, so you have a zombie story. And it's by Jeremy Robinson. I guess promises all kinds of zombie action. But here you go. This is coming out from St. Martin's Press in, I guess, sometime really soon, because this is a finished copy. Yeah, tomorrow, April 29th. And here I now have a package from Bloomsbury. Okay, well, here is the new paperback release of a book that I was also sent in hardcover. Have been meaning to get to it for the longest time, but if you've seen my stack of books, especially from my trailer, you know that it can take me quite a while to sometimes get around to things, and I miss them occasionally, which makes me sad. But here is The Bone Season. The author is Samantha Shannon. Came out, it's her debut novel, came out last year, like I said, in hardback. She's all of 23 years old when the book came out. But yeah, it did very well for her, and so now the paperback has arrived. So, well, what's it all about? It says, even a dreamer can start a revolution. It's set in the year 2059. Paige Mahoney is working in the criminal underworld of Scion, London, S-C-I-O-N. Her job is to scout for information by breaking into people's minds. For Paige is a dreamwalker, a rare kind of clairvoyant. And under Scion law, she commits treason simply by breathing. Elsewhere, however, there is a seat of power even greater than Scion, and they have a different design for Paige and her uncommon abilities. Thank you for printing this blurb on a very dark red background that made it hard to read, Bloomsbury. But otherwise, yeah, I said this book did do quite well for her in hardcover, quite a bit of buzz. So the debut novel of Samantha Shannon, The Bone Season, is now in paperback. And here's one from my good buddies at Tor. Okay, this is one that has looked very intriguing to me ever since I first heard about it. Unwrapped Sky is a debut novel by Rurik Davidson. It is actually already out in stores. They're a little late getting this to me. But it is a stunningly original debut by a young master of the new weird. That means that this is something that hovers around in the China Mieville zone of things. 100 years ago, the Minotaurs saved Kaylee Amur from conquest. Now, 3 very different people may hold keys to the city's survival. Once, it is said, gods used magic to create reality with powers that defied explanation. But the magic, or science, if one believes those who try to master the dangers of thaumaturgy, now seems more like a dream. Industrial workers for House Technis, farmers for House Arbor, and fisherfolk of the House Marin eke out a living and hope for a better future, but revolution burns at the edges of this city, and 3 very different people will find their lives intertwined as they maneuver and manipulate through the magic and myth. Alright, so It looks very intriguing. I love that Minotaur in the cover. Rick Davidson's Unwrapped Sky is a new book from Tor. It is already out in hardcover. HarperCollins, okay. Oh, okay, well here is the now finished hardcover copy of Josh Mallerman's Bird Box. Now this is a straight-up horror novel, but I have heard from some people who have read the arc of this. I also received the arc of this, you may remember from several weeks back on the mailbag, and this looks like a really cool edition. Well, you've got written with the narrative tension of the road and the exquisite terror of classic Stephen King, Bird Box, which is on sale May 13th, by debut author Josh Malerman, is a propulsive, edge-of-your-seat thriller set in an apocalyptic near-future world. This spine-tingling story opens with a woman and her 2 small children making their way down a river in a rowboat, blindfolded. What or who they are running from, where they are running to, and why they can't open their eyes frame and propel this breathtaking debut. So it has that near-future aspect, so I guess that does make it somewhat SFNal. Something is out there, something terrifying that must not be seen. One glimpse and a person is driven to deadly violence. No one knows what it is or where it came from. When the world began to unravel, Mallory joined a motley group of strangers who banded together against the unseen terror in an effort to create order from the chaos. But when supplies ran low, well, I imagine everything just kind of went to hell. All right. But the publisher has quite high hopes for Bird Box. And I have heard, like I said, from some folks who have read the arc and pronounced it to be, you know, quite a little creeper. So here it is for your consideration, Josh Malerman's Bird Box. And another one from Harper. Well, it looks like a double dose of the creepy from Echo Books here, The Bees by Layleen Paul. I haven't heard a peep about this. Don't know anything about it whatsoever, so let's check it out. This is on sale May the 6th. A dazzlingly original debut novel, part parable, part coming-of-age story, and pure page-turner, enthusiastically acquired by Echo in a preemptive bid, blah, 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 business stuff. Paul's first novel is one of those rare literary works that takes readers into a complex world at once different and yet hauntingly similar to our own, set in a beehive, the characters the bees themselves. This dystopian tale recreates a rigidly structured society that reveres its queen and invests absolute power in its female elite. But when the hive comes under threat, the refusal of one single-minded bee to abide by the highly stratified rules could jeopardize the way things have always been. I'm kind of imagining a very dark and dystopian, Pixar film out of this. But The Bees is the story of Flora 717, a sterile worker bee from the lowliest social class of the hive whose life is spared because although she is considered deformed, in this time of environmental crisis and hunger, one of the ruling priestesses finds an unorthodox use for her. Despite her humble origins, Flora rises through the social echelons of the beehive to become an elite forager, but when she breaks the most sacred law of her world, challenging the queen's preeminence in the process, she becomes a conflicted traitor to her colony. There have been novels like this, before, featuring like the animal world, in which the characters are wildly anthropomorphized. Talking about books like Watership Down by Richard Adams or Tail Chaser's Song by Ted Williams. And yet, the stories, if handled with conviction and good storytelling, manage to pull off that conceit despite themselves. So maybe this is one of those. But the publisher seems incredibly enthusiastic about it. So The Bees by Layleen Paul, an allegory for our times. Not much in this week's stack, but it's all just unusual and strange stuff, isn't it? Okay, this final package is from Tor. And, oh, okay. Well, the latest book from Melanie Ron. This is the 3rd book in this series of hers, which started with the books Touchstone and Elsewhen's. So, I'm probably, because this is book 3 of a thing, not going to be too detailed in reading out the plot synopsis. But you all know who Melanie Ron is. She has a long, long history doing a very traditional, epic, heroic fantasy. But this is, it's the story of Cade Silversun, part elf, part fae, part human wizard, and all rebel. So this is called the Glass Thorns trilogy. I'm assuming it's a trilogy. And so Cade is more than just a wizard. He has the rare fae gift of foreseeing. He's increasingly troubled by elsewhens, the uncontrolled moments when he is plunged into visions of possible futures before him. He fears that his fae gift will forever taint his friendships, and his friends fear that his increasing distance will destroy him. So, this one appears to have, a bit of a darker bent to it, but Melanie Ron with her latest epic fantasy, Thorn Lost. Okay, everybody, that's all I've got for this episode of the Mailbag. As always, you know the drill. Fire up the comments. Let me know which of these looks most intriguing to you, which you'd like to know more about. As usual, please like, share, and sub if you enjoyed watching, and until I see you guys next time, happy reading.